Well, hello. Good evening. Welcome to the Champagne Ministry, where we get lit, talk shit, and feel the spirit. Spiritual conversations over libations. I'm Reverend Rose, and bitch, it's time we get into relationships over Riesling today. Ladies and gentlemen, friends, foes, and hoes of the Champagne delegation, I welcome you to the sanctuary. As you enter, please find a comfortable place to sit, relax, and refresh your soul. The topic of today's show is relationships and Riesling. So if you have not poured your libation, I suggest that you do so now. Now, as you know, we begin every single Sunday sermon with a champagne processional from the choir. And so I would like to ask the champagne choir to get ready to begin. I hope that this processional gets you into the mind state of relationships, love over Riesling. Choir, go ahead and begin. A wonderful Sunday champagne processional. We have some just beautiful, amazing people in our champagne congregation. I want to recognize some of y'all. I see Mary, I see Wendy and Harriet, I see Layla. If not, why not 2003? How you doing? I see Jan Perry. What a queen. I see Marge in charge, Sophie, Melissa, that's my song too. Hey Ian, what you laughing at, boy? Larissa, what you doing? Aunt V, this look is for you. Like literally, my Aunt V calls me after every show from Chicago. And Aunt V was like, look, I love your look. Of course, you're gorgeous. But she said, I need the hair down immediately and I need a red lip. So Aunt V, red lip and hair down for you, literally for you, okay? Thanks, Mary. Jessica, this is not your comb. Where did you get that? You know what? You always talking some kind of stuff. You. All right, cool. Hi, Adrian. Yes, to me. We have natural and professional. Jessica, Joy. I mean, I just feel so much love. Tiffany is here. Little Pineapple is here. Love you all so much. I am so glad that you have joined us. So if you're just joining us, you have missed the Champagne Processional, and I'm so very sorry, but you missed it. We can't do it again. I would like to welcome you to the Champagne Ministry, where we get lit, talk shit, and feel the spirit. It's spiritual conversations, but over libations. I'm Reverend Rose saying, bitch, it's time that we get into relationships over Riesling today. Now, if you're not quite familiar with how it works here at Champagne Ministry, we do three things: get lit, talk shit, feel the spirit. We have a guest that comes on during each section to share their perspective. So for Get Lit, we talk about the positive, beautiful side of relationships. For Talk Shit, we need to speak some truth. We need to talk some shit, some cultural criticism. What's problematic, boo? We need to know. And lastly, for Feel the Spirit, that's when we simply tell the truth. Because here at Champagne Ministry, we believe that every occurrence, everything in your life is spiritual in nature, meaning it has to do with you and the invisible intelligence of love, which you may call God, you can call it whatever you want, that runs through you, in you, as you. So we always have to determine what is a spiritual truth or lesson I can take from this so that I can better myself and deepen my knowledge about the subject and myself. All right. So today we are talking relationships and Riesling. And specifically, we're talking romantic relationships. What gets me lit about relationships? I mean, in the words of Teddy Pendergrass, good old Teddy, it's so good loving somebody and somebody loves you back. When somebody sees you for who you are, the good, the bad, the ugly, and they still choose you. They choose to walk this journey of life with you. And when you feel the same way, it's the most incredible feeling. I'm sure that you all can attest to that. But it's also important not to depend on the love of someone else, even if it's your husband or your wife or your lover, your partner, whoever, your friend, your mom, your dad. It's important not to depend so much on that love, even though it's amazing. Why? Well, Donald Neil Walsh said it perfectly for me. He says, the purpose of relationship is not to have another who might complete you, but to have another with whom you might share your completeness. Let it be. The purpose of relationship is not to complete you, but it is to have another with whom you might share your completeness. That's what gets me lit. We're going to go ahead and begin with our very first guest. Her name is Rhea Petrie, and she is an absolute amazing speaker and spiritual coach. And so I am going to invite her in. You know what, Rhea? It says unable to join. So what I'd like you to do is shut down Instagram totally, restart the app all over again, log back in and come on back in, and we gonna get you, okay? Let me try one more time. I think it still says it one more time. Hang on, everybody. Rhea. Oh, it says active now. Huh. See, if you let him use you, he won't abuse you. Sometimes you just gotta give it a try and let it work. I think it's working. Or twerking. I'm not sure. Let's see, Rhea. I just sent you the invite. Did you receive it? I hope you did. Accept it when you receive it. So, not sure. I thought it was going to work. And I don't know that it is. So Rhea, log out, log back in. We roll with these things, okay? I've done this before, honey, if you didn't know. So what we're going to do is we are going to go to our second guest. I see her here in the waiting room, and that's what we're going to do. Her name is Joy K. Madison. She's a force, and I am so glad that she is joining us today. Well, surprise, you going first, girl.
Look at that. Look at that. Would you?
Look at that. Would you? So you were gonna be on the talk shit section, but we just gonna transition you on to get lit because really all things hold the positive and the negative side, right? So they're really transferable. Truth is transferable. Truth is truth. It just depends on the angle by which you want to behold it, or the angle by which it beholds you. So, Joy, first of all, welcome to the Champagne Ministry once again.
Thank you for having me back.
You are a repeat guest speaker because you are, like I said, you're a force of love and knowledge and intelligence. And I respect you and love you so much. So I wanted to get your perspective on this. Joy, can you tell the people where are you from and where do you live?
I am from South Central Los Angeles, and I still live, well, not quite in South Central, but South Central adjacent. I'll say that.
Adjacent, yes. Now, tell the people a little something about yourself.
Ooh, what would you like to know?
Right? Like, very open question. But you know why I asked that question? I used to say, what do you do?
Yes.
And the last time you were on, you really gave a spiritual breakdown of that question. And asking somebody about their profession or what they do does not speak to the essence of who they are.
Yeah.
So now instead I say, tell me about yourself. You can talk about career. You can define that in whatever way you want based on how you feel. So that is literally because of you.
Wow. Well, I love that. I'm happy to be back and to see that shift that has occurred from the last time. I love to think about myself as someone who has the capacity and the authority to shift the energy wherever I go, right? And that wherever I may enter, whatever room, whatever space I may enter, that when I leave, my presence will be known, would have had an impact, and would have had a meaningful opportunity to exchange information, energy, whatever, ideas with the people. So I'm happy to know that with that, I was able to say those things and it resonated with you enough that you were like, how can I shift even my language, right? So thank you for even saying that. What I would like to share about who I am today, that's a big old question.
I know, it's kind of difficult to answer.
Yeah, like so many things, and what feels like it's at the forefront of my mind right now, I think just given what we're going to talk about is that I have chosen to step into the opportunity to shift paradigms, particularly when it comes to how we understand and approach romantic relationships. And that's something that I ran from for a very long time. And I have, in the last maybe 1 to 2 years, decided that I don't get to run anymore. So I think that's what's most prevalent in my mind right now. Even as you were talking about trying to get Rhea on, and I was preparing my mind, trying to be like, okay, what am I going to say? How's this going to go? And it's like, you know what? We're not even about to play that game. You going up first because I'm not even about to give you whatever little time you think you got to try to manipulate the message, right? Like, right? So even with that, when you talk about everything having a spiritual component or message or lesson or element, or it being just a spiritual expression, for me, right? It's like, oh, you thought you were going to try to anticipate how this was going to go? No, we throwing you in there right now. Or whatever comes up is what comes up.
And so, I honestly feel like that's where the magic happens because you're present. Sure. You know, I plan out what I'm going to say too. Most of the time I do a general outline, but it's the moments when I let go of what I had thought I was going to do and I planned what I went. It's the moments when I let go that I experience the freedom of expression and that I am speaking from a place of presence. And presence is who I am and where I am right here and now, and the truth that resonates with me now. And that the feeling I just had when I was saying that is me being present. stepping away from the thinking and the plan and all that. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes life forces you to be present, like right now, right? So
Yes.
I want to know from you,
Mm-hmm.
we are reframing the way that we think in Champagne Ministry.
Mm.
The idea that you can't be religious or spiritual and drink or twerk or
Mm.
live or give. Can you pray and slay at the same time? Can you think and drink? Why not? We are reframing this whole idea of church,
Sure.
right? Of I want to make like deepness dope. I want to make spirituality sexy, right? So I am working to kind of reframe and rework
Sure.
how we view it, because we all are already all those things, right? It's just right stepping into it and accepting it, right? So what I want to know is that you have mentioned something about reframing
Mm-hmm.
the way that we think of love, the concept of love. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So there's a lot of things. I've spent a lot of time sort of working this out, personal experiences, but also because of the work that I do, right? I work with couples as a coach and therapist. So I see a lot of things coming through my clients and all of that. And so if I'm going to think specifically about love and the concept of being in love, right? What I'd like to say is that being in love is not about how you feel about the other person. Being in love is about how you feel about yourself when you're in the presence of this other person, right? So it's really a personal experience of how you're understanding yourself. I love that you quoted Neil Donald Walsh earlier, because listening to Conversations with God really shifted years ago, when it was one of the first sort of times I remember consciously shifting how I understand intimate partnerships, right? And one other thing that came from that particular book was that this idea that our intimate partnerships are the grandest opportunity that we have to know ourselves.
Mm.
And that through that experience, we seek personal fulfillment because of how we get to know ourselves. So I like to think about our partners as the mirror that allows us to see ourselves in ways that we would have never seen ourselves had it not been for the experience that we share with them. Right. And so that being in love is not about, oh, I love you so much. Being in love is, I love myself so much when I'm with you. The experience of being with you makes me feel so good about who I am, that I'm literally being in love. I am, as myself, being in love. And I'm existing in love. I'm acting in love. I'm choosing in love. I'm being in love. So being in love is not about that other person and how they show up and what they do for you. It's about how you feel about you in the context of that relationship, in the presence of that other person. And that's really what being in love is. And that's why it's such a deep experience, which when you have an experience that deep, it can't possibly be about someone else. It has to be something that you're experiencing from the internal, right? And so that's one of the first paradigms that I love to sort of share with people, because I think it really invites people to, an approachable way,
Yeah.
to a new consideration around, like, how have I been experiencing and approaching relationships if I've been making it all about this other person? What I want them to be, how I want them to be, who I want them to be, what I want them to have. It's not none of that. It's you, right? I
Yeah.
am creating my relationships, regardless of what the other person is doing. I'm always creating the relationship that I'm in based on how I'm choosing to show up and how I'm understanding myself as a result of the interactions that we're having and sharing. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. What you are saying, I want to look at some of these concepts, honey. Tiffany Mills said, just come on. Come on. Okay. Miss Dalton said, I love the concept. Megan said, that's the exact opposite of what we have learned loving another person is about. We always have learned, I love you. I'm obsessed with you. Oh, you're amazing. Oh, we build people up and build up these expectations and these judgments, and all. It's all about them, when really being in love is being
It's being
stepping into the
in
fullness
love.
in of who I am,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't have to find anyone to
Mm-hmm.
be in a relationship with, but if we do, because that does bring another level of companionship and joy and all of that, but it's someone who celebrates your completeness with you. It it is not nothing in life. We are born alone and we die alone. this journey that we are on, this path that we are on, we each have our purpose and our path and our passion. And it is our job to step into the fullness of who we are, not worrying about who somebody else is in relation to us. Mm-hmm. So that is an absolute shift in the paradigm. Nikita says yes, two whole people come together. Mary says yes. Todd Robbins says, hey, what's up? Nicole says it's you. It's about you. Little Pineapple says come with that. All right.
And we've always taught the opposite, right?
Talk about it.
We have always been taught about love requiring compromise and sacrifice and giving and lessening ourselves and putting others first. And I'm not, those things sound romantic, but they're actually, based on my understanding of the purpose of relationships, they're actually counterintuitive and counterproductive, right? Yeah. If the relationship is the grandest opportunity to know yourself and you spend the entire experience shrinking yourself to appease others, then you've missed a beautiful opportunity to grow and into the fullness of who you are, and understanding that and that unfoldment and that whole process. You miss it because you've made it about them, right? We think about, what do I want in a partner, which automatically makes it about the other person, as opposed to what do I want in a partnership, meaning what do I want this experience to be for me? Because at the end of the day, you're the only one you have any control over. So trying to enter it under the guise of manipulating or anticipating who that other person is, you lost before you even started. Right? You lost before you.
Yes. Oh, Lord, yes. So you lose before you even start because you make it about someone else, right? And a lot of times we have been taught, relationships take work. You have to work on it. You have to do your part. You have to hold your partner accountable.
Yeah.
Tell me your view of how do you operate within a relationship? Because hold on.
Because I'm about to ruffle some feathers, so let me get my wet my palate here, because it's getting ready to go down.
At Champagne Ministry, we show up to be ruffled. We show up to get another point of view.
Yeah.
And if we don't agree, that's okay. But you have to take the time to turn within and see if it resonates and feels true.
Sure.
How we grow. That's how we grow. We don't grow from hearing the same thing over and over again.
Everyone agrees.
Where has that gotten us?
Sure.
So I want to know, do relationships take work?
No.
No?
They don't. So you're going to notice I have a lot of like mantras and ideas and concepts. And while I understand what people, I think, intend to say when they sort of spew that, my take, again, recognizing that if the relationship is the greatest opportunity you have to know yourself, then it's not the relationship that takes work. It's the people in the relationship that require work. And the relationship is simply the vehicle that requires or reveals what your work is. Right? So it is, again, through the experience of being with this other person, when they trick, that is a sign of something you get to heal from, something you get to address, something you get to acknowledge about how you think, how you show up, how you act, how you interpreted that, how you perceive that, what thing that, poked in you that maybe happened when you were young. So it's not about the relationship taking work. It is about the people in the relationship require work, and the relationship reveals to you what that work is when you rub up against that other person and the way they do life, which is different from how you do life. And it makes you go, well, wait a minute. And what happens when we turn our focus on the outward relationship is, again, we miss an opportunity to see and know our more deeply and more truly, because the focus becomes on something over which you have no control, no agency, and really is an abstract concept. Because what happens when the two of you are no longer in that context is that the relationship no longer exists. So you started working on something that wasn't ever really real.
Oh, wow.
It's not even, it's an abstract concept that you create when you come together. So I tell my couples when I'm working, 1+1, if I'm working with a traditional couple where it's just two, not, polyamorous or whatever. But if we're talking about 1+1, I tell them 1+1 is 3. Your relationship is a third and separate entity that the two of you come together and create. Right? So we like to go 2 become 1. No, 2 become 3. Your relationship is a third and separate entity that each of you have to actively and intentionally cultivate by checking in on how you're showing up, how you're interacting, how you're responding, and then what that is creating in your experience together.
Ooh.
So it's not the relationship that you're working on. It's yourself in the context of a relationship based on what you learn from being with this other person. People take work. Relationships reveal what the work is.
I done fell out. She said people take work. Relationships reveal what the work is. Oh my God. My brain. Oh, she said boars. Boars. Megan said take another sip. Layla said,
Yeah.
wait, okay, okay. People take work. Okay, let me, Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer, he when he goes to people's houses and their dogs is bad as hell, he's like, I don't train the dogs, I train the people.
Absolutely.
That's almost kind of like what you're saying. I'm not training the relationship, I'm training you.
Because the relationship didn't just magically happen like that. The relationship just didn't be like, you know what, I'm about to start tripping.
Right.
No, the relationship is mirroring back to you how you're showing up and what you're creating. What are you?
Wait a minute. You repeat that? Repeat
The
that.
relationship didn't just wake up and start tripping. The relationship is reflecting back to you how you're showing up.
Oh, fuck.
No.
Oh, fuck. The relationship is mirroring back to you who you are being.
Yeah.
Your relationship ain't right. You got to turn within rather than pointing the finger, hold up the mirror, because it means that it is an opportunity for you to turn within and see who you are being, because the relationship is a result of how you're behaving and acting, right?
Interacting, how you're choosing, how you're interpreting other people's behaviors and all of that. It's all, you're creating that.
Wow.
All of that. And it's in the relationship, and how you're feeling in it is reflecting back to you the choices you've been making, the behaviors you have been engaging in, the ways in which you've been interpreting and reproaching and responding to your partner or partners. That's what the relationship is.
God damn. Oh Lord. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we gonna need you back, because like I mean okay. So we've just discussed the fact that relationships don't take work. It is the people that take work. So anytime you have a problem in your relationship, it is important to look within, because obviously you are the one that is showing up and making decisions that create circumstances, right? So I want to know, a lot of people want relationships and feel like a relationship is what makes you whole. I mean, we've been taught our whole lives, like the prince got to come save the princess, and you have babies and you do
Right.
I want to know about the concept of dating, right? Like, in order to be in a relationship, you have to get to know someone first. In our culture, we kind of call that dating, right? So why don't you subscribe to the idea of dating with a purpose? Because in my mind, you date so that you can get to know someone to determine if they might be feasible and it might be reasonable, right? So tell me your view of dating.
So yes, to that point, dating is data, right? Dating is collecting data. What do I like? What don't I like? What works for me? What doesn't? What do I want to create? How do I see a partner fitting into this fulfilled life that I'm creating already apart from this partnership, right? Like all of those things, you're collecting data by experiencing other people, understanding, right? And so again, going back to this concept, if your relationship is reflecting back to you how you're showing up, where you have opportunities to heal, right? Exposing you to new ideas about how the world could go, what's possible and what's available. If that's what relationships are for, and we talk about dating with a purpose, right? Which oftentimes people sort of take that phrase to mean we're dating to achieve marriage or some whatever the end game is, right? Typically it's marriage, right? The end game is I'm dating with the purpose. If you ain't trying to get married, we're wasting time.
Bye.
But what that does is that makes a person for you simply a means to an end, right? I want to be married. If you don't want that, then I have no use for you. But what you're missing is just because you may not end up marrying this person doesn't mean that they don't have valuable lessons that you could learn from the experience of being with them. And so I don't subscribe to the idea of dating with a purpose, because what it does is discards before you even have the opportunity to see the value in what a person could bring and who you could become as a result of engaging and spending time with them. Does that don't necessarily ask questions and understand what their intentions are and what they want from their lives? Absolutely, that doesn't mean that. But what it does mean is that just because they may not necessarily initially want what you want doesn't mean that the experience can't be valuable for you in some capacity.
And it also means that you are looking to another person for what you can get rather than what you can give, right? It's going out on a date or whatever, but it's like, I'm looking at you because I want to know, am I going to get a ring? Am I going to get some children?
Right.
Am I going to get this, that, and the other?
Right.
But really, as you said, relationships are a reflection of you, right? So it's not about what can I get out from this other person. It's how can I be my whole and complete self and express that as much as possible and be that as much as possible, potentially with you, right? But when you discard somebody because they may not be marriage material, or you might not get exactly what you're
according to you, right? According to
you, you're missing out.
Got it from, right?
You're missing out on an experience.
And the other part of I would say like 1B, right, of why I don't subscribe to dating with a purpose is that oftentimes, again, going with this concept of like, oh, well, I want marriage. Do you want marriage too? Mm-hmm. What'll happen is that is where the conversation ends. I want to be married. Oh, I want to be married too. Cool. At least we know we're on the same path. Nobody's talking about what does marriage mean to you? What do marriage roles mean to you? What about all these other intricate, nuanced parts? And ask me how I know, because I told you I work with couples. Okay. And so people will say, oh, we want the same thing, assuming that whatever their definition of marriage is a universal definition of what marriage is. So if you say you want marriage too, then what you're ipso facto saying is that you want what I want. But we never really even had that conversation. So now we're actually married. And we're sitting in the room looking at each other, confused about why you're not doing what I thought you were supposed to do when you became my husband, when you became my wife, because we never talked about what that actually meant. We just talked, again, about the abstract concept of marriage.
Holy
and
shit.
what it actually looks like to be in one together.
Wow.
So another reason why I don't subscribe to that is because it's a really empty statement that doesn't really ever consider the true value of what it means to share an experience with somebody and really get to know yourself through their eyes.
Who, Lord? So, oh boy, my mind is blown. Like you are just spitting so much like knowledge, and I don't want this to end like ever. Like, can we talk forever? Can we
just talk forever?
Like, come on, man. Like, this is, I think it's so important what you just said. What is the purpose of our relationship? Why are we together? What is marriage to you? What is partnership to you? What is okay to you? What is not okay to you? What do we like? Why are we here on this planet? And why do we want to do this thing together? Like, have we talked about why we're together? Other than the fact that you cute, you got a big booty, you got this. Like, have we talked about the sole reason why we're here? Because we're souls. We are spiritual beings encased in these human shells that are here for a very short time. But if we don't think about it and do it intentionally and take that journey with somebody else on purpose rather than by accident, just because, oh, he want to get married, I want to get married, she want to get married, if we don't act intentionally and think about why we're doing it, think about, are we truly on this thing? If we don't question, if we don't ask, if we don't determine the purpose of what we're doing here, it's gonna end up terribly, and it does. Most people,
and I'm gonna blame you. I'm gonna blame you, and
it's never my fault.
You did a thing. No, It has nothing to do with that. That was just the thing that made you realize this wasn't working. But it's not about the thing. It's about the fact that neither one of you were ever truly clear about why you chose to engage in this together, because it's not about you cute, you fun, I like you, it feels good. Because if we're talking about the rest of our lives, that's not going to always be the case. So there has to be something greater, has to be something deeper, has to be something more meaningful that connects me to you. And if I am engaging with this for life and I'm committed, the other part that I would like to just add as a bonus, relationships are not a commitment to someone else. Relationships are a commitment to yourself to uphold an agreement that you have with someone else.
Oh boy.
Who do I need to be to uphold this agreement? Which then implies there has been some intention and some effort and some consciousness around what we have agreed to between us. Once we say, this is my agreement, this is how I'm choosing to engage with you, and this is what I'm expecting of myself, first and foremost, and then from you based on this agreement, now the commitment becomes, I'm committed to doing my work to be the person who can uphold this agreement for the long haul.
I am committing to myself to uphold this agreement so that we can be committed for the long haul. The overarching message that I'm getting is that a relationship really has so much less to do with another person and like literally everything to do with you that you can't even imagine.
Bingo.
Oh boy. I mean, Ganny Gale, mom says that is the ideal. Tiffany said this is the bomb. Rhea, by the way, Rhea, send me, if you can, close out Instagram, come back and send me a request, Rhea, if you can. Jessica said, upload this to YouTube, please. She got to play this over. Nicole said, Layla said, bars. Darla Singletary Candy is like laughing, like crying tears, like, oh my God. Megan said, my God. Harlem Factor is waving like, hey, girl. We have a question. Wait, so OG, he's so smart. He was like, he repeated like one of the best lines you have, which is dating is data. Ooh, girl. Megan said, is she a psych major? So the people want to know, what did you study?
I actually am working right now on a doctorate in clinical psychology. Yes.
And
but
it's clear
that this, what I'm speaking, is even anti what we're learning. So this is something that has come from personal experience, from lots of observation, and from understanding, I think, more about experience and how we engage with one another and what's really possible and available to us through those interactions.
Joy K. Madison, I am just, every time I speak to you, I am get just a little bit more enlightened, and I just get lit up with joy, literally. You know, because there's beauty and there's so much joy in hearing something new that just like, when you hear something new that automatically resonates with you, like that lights you up inside, and I feel the people in the comments, like we all we hear something new, we're like, there's this vibration, we're like, ooh, that feels true. Oh, yes. You know what I mean? And that emanates from you. So I wish we could talk longer. I hope you can come back. I don't know if you're accepting clients but if you would just go to Champagne Ministry, you will see that she's been tagged in everything. I don't know if she's accepting new clients or not, but if you are interested potentially in coaching, not relationship, personal, hit her up, and she can take it from there to determine what she would want to do. But Joy, you are a joy. Thank you. Thank you so much, sis.
Thank you for having me.
Are you gonna come back or not?
Listen, keep hitting me up. I'm gonna keep on saying yes.
I love you. Thank you.
Too.
Appreciate you.
Okay.
You all. Now, when I say at the Champagne Ministry, we got to go in on and we get lit, touch, and feel the spirit, I want you to feel that and know that, honey. Where else can you do this? Where else do you get this quality? Where else do you get this magenta lip? You're not going to find it. I'm giving you scarlet. She's giving you magenta. I see an electric yellow nail. You're not going to get, trust and believe. It's not gonna happen
Believe.
nowhere but here. It's not gonna happen. Hi, Ria.
Hi, Morgan. I am so sorry for throwing our vibe off tonight. You know I was here at 6:55. Okay, locked and loaded, ready and reset.
You did not throw the vibe off. You threw the vibe
Oh,
on. Things
oh,
happen as they should, and all that I
yes.
care about is that I'm able to see that face and feel
You're
that
so
presence.
sweet.
So that
Oh,
that is that. It doesn't matter the order of it. We
yay.
we 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 operate within the flow.
We,
Okay.
hello?
So we are now that was sort of like the get lit. I don't. Who cares about the sections anymore? I really don't give a shit anymore. Just whatever. I don't even know what this is. This is just whatever. Okay.
Going with
So
the flow.
this is the go with the flow shop. Okay, it's no longer champagne ministry. We're done with that. That's yesterday. So, Joy said a lot about relationships being more about like the individual, more about self than being about the other, and I thought that was so interesting. But relationships, when we're in them, when they're going super well, we're on top of the world. And when they're like struggling and we having fights and problems and stuff, we feel
Mm,
so we feel so unhappy, sometimes depressed. Like relationships really can alter how we feel about ourselves, how we behave, how we think, we act. They alter our experience. Talk to us a little bit about how the status of your relationship, because it's going to have ups and downs, ultimately
absolutely.
can affect a person's perspective.
Whew. Well, first, I want to thank you for having me, okay? Because I mean, the spirit of wisdom then came through Hamilton High School and showed up tonight on Champagne Ministry.
If you don't know, Ria went to Hamilton High School. So did
Okay.
I. So did Joy.
Come
And
on,
if
Yankees.
hello, if
I
you're
just had to
unsure
throw
of how
that.
Yankees do, hopefully you found out this evening. Okay.
That's
Oh,
right.
I didn't have you introduce yourself because time is of the essence.
I know.
Tell them real quick where you from and what you do, or not what you do, or just tell someone about yourself.
I know. Yeah. Okay. So my name is Ria Peachy, life relationship coach. I'm currently authoring my first book, Amen. So I can't wait to finish that. And I'm excited to be here. I'm gonna jump right in. So the heart is obviously our center, our anchor. And that, in our pre conversations, that was one of the reasons that impassioned me to even work with couples and to do what I do. And it's because not only my life experiences, but I think because our heart is the anchor to who we are, our emotions, our will, our spirit is all rooted in the heart. It gives relationships so much power. And so when they go good, everything is great. People feel like they can conquer the world. And Lord knows when they're off, everything can be off. Your creativity can be off. Your health can be off. Your productivity can be off. Like you said, depression, anxiety, so many things can come from that. And so that's why I kind of made it my passion and my life work. And one of the very missions that God has given me is to work with couples, with individuals, work with myself. Like Joy said, to be sure that I show up as who I am and in my best self. So I think, just from that perspective of, matters of the heart are always kind of what can anchor us in the direction that we go, I find.
When relationship is not going well, when we're having problems, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way that we could still be okay and like not let it the status of our relationship take over our whole lives? Like, is there a way where we can experience the ups and downs and the challenges without it feeling so all encompassing?
100%. And you know what that deals with? I think it kind of, partners with what Joy was saying is you can't let your relationship be you, be everything. I think that in order for us to have that balance and to be able to be resilient and be able to compartmentalize to say, you know what, as Joy mentioned, you are you, your partner is such, and then your relationship is the third item. So I think for me, I'll just speak from my experience, having a relationship with God, having something to anchor yourself, to have those centering moments, having great friendships. Honey, friendship is also my ministry. I would not be who I was if it wasn't for the awesome and amazing friends in my life. And I think just making sure that you stay rooted in your identity and that your identity doesn't become entangled. Hello. In a relationship, your identity cannot be, who you are and what you do. Like Joy said, it's like when people say, what do? You get into, well, I am it's like, no, I think the more we can encourage folks to be solid in who they are and in their, what I want, what I don't want, what I should stand for, what I'm worth, I think that allows you to be more resilient. So when someone goes left, my friend's mom always told me, when someone goes left, it don't mean you got to go with them. You can be like, oh, okay. Like, now I haven't mastered that all the time. It's still a work in progress, but it doesn't mean that your life has to be off, that everything has to stop because there's this friction. I think in fact, it really can make us stronger, because I know it can show you how to be meek. It can show you how to not have to respond and react. It can show you how to practice patience and grace and giving grace to others. Like all of those virtues, I think, can come from friction, seasons of friction, or seasons of discord. Yeah. So that's one of the beautiful things I find.
That's so bomb that you said that, because one thing that you just said was, in relationships, if they're not going well, if we're experiencing a season of difficulty or struggle or whatever, is not identifying yourself so much as your relationship. Being able to see your relationship as something like outside of yourself. Like Joy said, there's me, there's you, and then there's the relationship, right?
Right.
So don't identify, like, if it's not going well, it shouldn't shake our whole world, because the relationship is not who I am. I am a person. I am a soul. I am here. You know what I mean? Like, Joy says, conflict is an invitation to collect and connect and collaborate.
Come on.
It is important that we place the relationship at the status it belongs. Sometimes, because we're so dependent on other people to define who we are, we put the relationship as number one.
Yeah.
It's you number one. The relationship is not number one. The relationship is a reflection of you. Okay? If you're not right, the relationship is then not right. So don't allow it to take over your whole energy, your whole life, because it is simply an output of the data that you are entering. Okay? We want to get into the equations. Okay. So I love that. Now I want to know from you, why do relationships go bad? So many relationships end up, the divorce rate is, I forgot to Google it before I got on the show, but it's high. It's high.
Yeah.
And, many times relationships don't work out. And we say don't work out when it means that, like, the couple didn't, or multi-couple or whatever you call it, didn't end up staying together. But that doesn't really mean the relationship didn't work out. It might have worked out very well. And that can be like a really awesome thing. I think the way that we think about the word like fail or it is flawed. We think success is being together forever. Maybe success is in that divorce. Maybe success is in that breakup.Maybe that is success, right?
Yeah.
So I think we should reframe how we view that. But talk to me about why relationships go bad.
You know what? Oh man, it's so funny that Joy mentioned how funny the order switched tonight, because I was really torn, like, oh, am I going to get lit or if I'm going to talk? But I think relationships go bad. It's funny. I have a shirt, because I'm very intentional, that says I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I am not. Ooh. And I think one reason that relationships do go bad is because a lot of times people are not being authentic, and they come into a union for so many reasons. It could be socially, it could be seasonally. We might be struggling in the same area, whatever it is, or we might just happenstance, fall in love. But what I know is, if you're not your authentic self, especially with people who've been together a long time and you change and you evolve, then I think, so whenever somebody's not authentic, something is gonna be off. So I think authenticity is a big thing. I think another thing why relationships go bad is, and this is a personal testimony, I think sometimes people are so attached to the titles put on them and less invested in the actual relationship and cultivating who you are, who I am, and what we are building. And I was guilty of this. Okay. I was very guilty of this. I was so tied in the past in my dating, because I did a lot of it, that I think it was like, oh, okay, I'm a girlfriend. So you get so fixated on the title. But the reality is, boo, whether you girlfriend, wife, whatever you are, that person's going to do what they're going to do. So, I find that relationships sometimes go back because people are fixated on the wrong thing. And I think if you focus more first on grounding who you are and not, being swayed to the left and the right, if this person's good, I'm good. If we off, I'm off. But really being able to say, hey, you know what? let me not put so much effort, because I find it's more attractive when people are free, like, I don't know. I could go on, and I'm obviously going to be short on time, but so yes, authenticity, and I think being fixated on the wrong things as opposed to cultivating the union.
That's
I
right.
think,
I mean, being fixated on a title, fixated on children, fixated on this image is
yeah,
going to lead you to a path, because it's trying to get something out of it rather than show up as yourself and be yourself and give of yourself. And when you are not aligned with who you are and staying strong in who you are, you're gonna sacrifice a bit of you. And after
yeah,
you sacrifice yourself too much, guess what you're gonna do? You're gonna
da,
resent the person for it. You're gonna be mad at them, have an attitude, be checking their phone. Like you're gonna engage in all these negative behaviors just because you're resentful because you didn't show up as yourself.
that's right. You're gonna blame, and that's so ugly. And then you're gonna carry it on to the next person and burn them. Hello, we got to
And never
stop that
learn.
cycle.
Never learn.
We got to stop that cycle.
So
Absolutely.
I wanna know from your perspective about relationships and how the capability of relationships to be what we need them to be at any particular moment. The fluidity
Mm,
of relationships. Nicole said, don't be fixated. Show up as yourself. But ourselves change.
yeah,
Like 1 year, I might be super confident. The next year, I'm learning and growing and not sure of who I am, and I'm stepping into myself. I mean, I've done so much in this year. This year has been great. 2020, like, goodbye. Like, I'm disgusted with it. But like I've changed so much. I started Champagne Ministry. I'm much more
yay.
confident. I'm like living my purpose, or at least starting to.
That's
And
right.
so I'm changing a lot, right? So relationships have the capability of being fluid and changing with us.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Well, one thing I appreciate about relationships, and it's sad that I had to get into my 40s to realize it, is that people have the ability to create. Hello, like you can create what you want, you can co-create them, and you can recreate them. Okay, so it's like I think the key to that is communication. And I know I hate it, so cliche when people are like communication is key, but it really is. And I think though there's, kind of a public relationship that people have been scrutinizing recently, what I find beauty in is like, yo, if you, whatever you guys want to call each other, if it's life partners, we life partners. If it's husband and wife, we husband and wife. If it's girlfriend and boyfriend, whatever you guys create, as long as you're honest, authentic, and committed to whatever that thing is, then that's what I love. That's what I promote. That's what I respect. I think it's when people try to, again, you hold on to these labels and you're so fixated on analyzing and looking at other relationships, trying to be something else, like you're not that. And that's when things go south. So I think the fluidity, I think the fluidity is the beauty in the fluidity is that the two people in that relationship can literally define it as, and it's only up to you and that person and not our job to judge it, you
Yeah.
know? So I
No.
think it's beautiful. The key though is communicating with your partner, communicating those changes, and they don't have to read your mind to figure out where you are.
Hello. People can I did a posting the other day. Your partner cannot read your mind. As
Mm-mm.
psychic as you think they might be, and Layla says, yes, ma'am, they
Yeah.
don't you if you don't, Kyle Jones said, if you don't have the courage to say what the fuck you want, and I put the fuck in there, he didn't put that in there. But if you don't have the courage to stand up for yourself and ask for what you want, how can you receive it?
Yeah. You got to ask for what you want. And the beauty that I found, I'm not going to shout, I'm not a woman. I'm not going to just promote us, even though I love women and I love men too. But the beauty is that you would be surprised if you just show up and ask for what you want and be authentic. There's somebody that's going to roll with you. I think it's fear and people trying to hide in a box and be something they're not when they enter something. That's why it goes south, because you never started it authentically. So I think if you just say, hey, you know what? This is where I'm at. This is what I need. I guarantee you there's somebody that's going to match that. So that's where I guess this could be a talk crap, moment. It's like, don't waste somebody's time because you weren't real with where you were,
Hello.
like,
And I just did a session, Instagram live session with Melrose. It's called the Relations Podcast. And
mm-hmm.
she talks about toxic femininity. We had a conversation about that. And one thing I noticed we do as women sometimes, or I shouldn't just say as women. I don't know, if men do it. I can speak for myself. Is have expectations and wish and want and
Ooh,
need. that we don't communicate, right? Or we have a problem with, so we don't say it. We wait till they do it, then we get mad about it. But how did the man or woman or whoever, how did they know?
Yeah.
Did you honestly step into your truth and communicate what you needed, what you wanted? You know, a lot of times we hold it against people. We don't tell them what we want. We let them violate it or step over the line, and then we get mad.
Right.
Like, enjoy the struggle or the fight, or like, you know what I mean?
And some people do.
The cure to bad relationships is bad behavior. Bad individual behavior that is not honoring the truth of who you are, because who you are is the most special, amazing, beautiful thing in the world. And that's what you've got to step into and believe so that you can receive it. Otherwise, you can't. So, look, Rita, will you come back?
Of course I will. And we can get lit in the first part of the show.
Okay. Now, we have some comments. Jessica, it's going to be real short. Our little filter is going to be real short because things happen and they happen. Candy Singletary said, on and on. I am okay. Vera said, it is you're never too old to learn. James is here. Kay says, yes, ma'am. Yes, sis. Joyce says, communication is not about what you want to say. It's about what you want to achieve. I mean, look, you know, between you and Joy, there's just been so many beautiful gems dropped that I'm just going to be on the floor the rest of the night just trying to sweep up the gems. I don't even know what to say. But I thank you. Please come back because we need to have a part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I agree. And I'm here forever. Any segment.
In the comments, are y'all going to show up for a 5011 version of this show? I need to know. There's hearts. Let me know. Okay, cool. Rhea, thank you. Love you so much.
You're welcome. Love you too, dear.
Click on her link. I don't know if she's accepting clients or not, but she is a spiritual coach, relationship coach.
Yes.
So if you click on like the last posting, you will see, like, I always tag her and Joy. So when you talk about supporting Black women, not just women or Black women, just supporting people doing good things.
That's right.
You know where to go.
Thank you, girl. Love you. See you later.
Bye. You all, we done talked so much that we got 2 minutes. This is so disrespect. Jessica, come on now. We have Jessica Spencer about to join us, and she is going to give our spiritual lesson within a minute or like 60 seconds. Yo, love you.
Hey, love you too.
Could you have something you could drop on the people in 2 minutes? It's yours. Take it.
Okay. I think a big thing, let go of expectations as much as you can. So you give space to grow. Expectations just limit everything. Just like Joy said. Number 2, end of karmic relationships. We don't need to continue to call in the same relationship and name it a different person.
Let me say something. Hold on. This is what we're going to do, you guys. Everybody watching, it's 34 people, okay? We're not done. And I don't really, I'm not ready to be done. If you're done, that's cool. I'm not ready. So we are going to end this episode right now. We're going to restart right away. Hi, Brooklyn Night. We're going to restart right away, Tiffany. You hear me? So I'm going to close this out, and we're going to come right back. Come right back. Okay?
Let go.
Back, like Wendy Williams says, and come right back. All right? In 2 seconds. Okay? Thank you, Jess. We need time to hear you. All right? We'll be right back.
Love you.
Love you. Bye, everybody.